Welcome to Bridging the Gap. Ian Hansen along with intuitive medium and spiritual advisor Brenda Burgett. Brenda, I haven't seen you for a while.
I know.
It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
You have some exciting news from the world of mediumship, I guess you could say. We've heard about this briefly on the finale of our last program, so you've started something in the region that you want to talk about today, and this will be either towards the end or towards the beginning of the conversation that we'll have today about interdimensional beings and energy shifts. Is that what we settled on?
That's what we settled on.
I think that's what we settled on. So, well, let's talk about what's been going on, because I don't know what's been going on with you. I haven't seen you for about a week. You've had some psychic parties?
We did. You and I have done the psychic improvs in bigger settings, and before I actually started doing that, I wanted to do them in private homes and in private settings. So it's a psychic Tupperware party.
And the lids stay affixed.
I never went to a Tupperware party, and there's nothing wrong with Tupperware. But I
did, actually.
Did you?
I did. And it's a great story, too. And I'm known for these, of course. I believe I was 10 years old. I went to a Tupperware party. Youngest person there, believe it or not. And the only boy, or male. And they had a little contest at the end. You could answer this question right. You get to pick one free thing from the little pile of stuff that's not worth as much as the actual sets, but they have them there. I was the only person, remember we're talking about grown-ups here, 30s, 40s, 50s, women, spending their husband's money. I was the only one that knew who was on the $20 bill. The only one. And I was a 9-year-old kid. That's sad. Andrew Jackson's the answer, by the way.
American Express.
I couldn't believe that. I was like, no? None of them? No.
They never get any of their husband's hard-earned money.
That's true.
Yeah.
All the dead presidents stay in the drawer, and then the rest of it just comes out later. So they went very well. You had pretty good turnouts from what I understand.
We had excellent turnouts. We were in Quincy and for the first one, and then we had the second one last night, in Freda. Just a fantastic group of women. These are towns just to our east, actually, in the Pacific Northwest. So, okay. And you have another one scheduled. We have another one scheduled for here in Wenatchee.
Oh, okay.
And we're getting more and more people interested. It's a good way to get what I want to say out to people, and it's not such a hard thing to plan, because the women who have them, I say women because that's
it's predominantly women.
Have them in their home. We need as many people as they can get, by a minimum of 10, and then they get a free reading, which is worth $75.
A one-on-one reading, of course. So.
In my
Why is it that it's predominantly women?
Because we're smarter, more sensitive, cuter, nicer, lovely to look at, wonderful, divine goddesses.
That was 8. I was expecting at least 13, so we fell well short. But no, we're fine. We're good. I think you said the second one, sensitive.
Sensitive.
Does that really have something to do with it? Is it a stigma of society, do you think, that men, well, I don't believe in that Gypsy Wuji stuff? Or is it more the fact that feminine energy is maybe more connected without baggage to...
Do you know what I think it actually is? We're finally wanting to do something for ourselves. We want things fixed, and we're realizing we can't fix you guys, so we're
and women need the most fixing.
Fixing
ourselves.
Obviously,
that makes perfect sense.
The beauty of this all, I mean, what I really know, what I've learned with this is, men are every bit as sensitive, and they have the same amount of questions, and they aren't the hardcore gun, rack, and bird dog people they used to be. Necessarily, there's still those people, and I love you.
I see plenty of them every day, but okay.
Yes.
I put my dog on my gun rack by accident, and he's squirming away.
You just forget what you're talking about with this dude, you know?
See, dude, it even filters down. Dude,
yes.
Got my spurs on.
You have two very sensitive men here, and you have
Chuffy's behind us.
You're ready to talk about whatever, but it's like, do you want to actually take the time? I have quite a few male customers. I have a lot of men that I talk to on the phone, and it's not, that sounds really interesting. It's not called Miss Cleo. It's these people really definitely don't want to take the time. A lot of them are out of state, but everybody, male or female, has a need to know answers. What am I going to do? What's going on? And with what's happening in the world, I think it's scarier now than it was last year.
Scarier how?
Economics.
Oh, yeah. Well, things don't tend to get better.
What's happening in the
Right
rest
away.
of the world with the war, threats of wars. And it's just a time when people have answers that they can't get with traditional methods, maybe.
Well, and that leads us to the energy shift that is underway. And, again, there's different debates about when the last Baktun of the Mayan calendar ended, but that was supposed to be significant of being the date of the shift, or very close to the date of when the shift is finally in full throttle. It may have started, in some people's opinions, a few years prior. Maybe it won't kick into high gear until a few years after. I'm hearing anything between 15 to 30 years, actually, as far as how long it's going to take for this energy to fully blossom. And Brenda, I think that's debatable as far as what's going to happen, but maybe this energy is trying to finally see through the veil of how it is that we really do live and treat each other. I mean, you and I pass people every day who, and it's wicked, wicked cold outside right now too. So
Dirty cold.
yeah, and down in single digits, we pass people we all do every day that have no place to live. And you have to think to yourself as you're in your warm car and you're going where you're going to do what you're doing, no matter how your life is going, wow, how did that happen to them, and why should that happen to anybody? I think those are the things that are going to start getting sorted out in our world. Then there are the bigger items like this alien conspiracy and this battle of good and evil that may be coming to fruition and all that. So we'll have to, that's up to the, I guess, people who watch to figure out what is happening. But what, in your opinion, is happening?
What's happening is that people are becoming more and more aware, and there's probably a multitude of reasons for that, or they have the need to know more so now than maybe in earlier years. I don't really know that for a fact, because I think there's people who are living their lives always have questions. But there's things right now that are definitely happening. I sat in a group of ladies last night, and just a really nice group.
Now, this was not one of your...
It was.
It was, okay.
It was. And these were women from, I would say early 20s to 70. And they're trying to figure out how to support their families. They're trying to figure out how to get the best education, and in 2 or 3 cases, how to study all night long and then work all day long and still pass tests and take care of sick babies. I'm so totally impressed with people, and just people now, male and female, they're taking the time to try to figure out what they can do to be happier. It's obviously not money. I mean, we all either have it or we don't, or we're striving for it or we're not. But that's not the total answer, even though I tell you I'm going to be a very happy rich lady when I grow up.
Okay.
But there's something else. There's something more. People are asking, what can I do? What can I do to get out of this hole I'm in, or this trapped feeling, or this desperate feeling? And they're looking at me like I have the answers for these people. And I don't. I get psychic answers, but the answers are always right there inside them. And what comes out will open them up most of the time. Another thing that's been amazing about this gift and what's happening is I'm actually channeling.
And that's supposed to be the next sort of stage for you.
Yeah, I think it's my next stage. I have done it in the past, but not so much. But last night the room was full of people who passed, and they were all people that were there to help. So, and as hokey as it might sound, it was very helpful to the people that I lost this baby, and it was my fault because I was so young, and I blah, 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 blah. And that baby, they didn't lose that baby. That baby was never meant to be here in the first place. The baby had a contract. But the baby is saying, there's no reason for me to forgive you. You did nothing wrong. Back to that, it is what it is.
Well, yeah, if we'll leave it alone, I suppose, but it's hard for people to do that.
When they get to the place where they're talking to me, they're pretty much listening. And I'm sure, heard everything that Source has to say to them before in many different ways, counseling, their own voices coming through. But by the time they take the time to come and see, be present in one of these meetings or in this room when we're doing a reading, they listen. They're ready to hear. They're ready to be well.
And that's why they take the first step to contact someone like yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Good. So these parties are ongoing then, and we call them parties because, is there another word for a gathering, I guess?
Celebration.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we could do that too, I suppose. And then that's leading to maybe some people branching out and actually contacting you for some one-on-one that might be a little more in-depth in what they want to release in front of other people, or what they want to talk about in front of other people.
Ultimately, I want to do what you and I thought and talked about in the past. I want to speak. We want large groups of people, where we can get the message across to more people. And I definitely think there needs to be a television show and other things coming. And I'm not going to die until we see them.
Well, okay, that sounds good. She's probably going to croak on me the day after, and then they're going to look at me like, well,
one day after I'm out of here.
We actually canceled the check, Mr. Hansen. I'm so sorry about that.
He thinks he's getting paid.
We did prepare you a seat in first class.
What's he going to get paid?
That unfortunately got scratched.
This.
That's actually funny. I haven't flown in a while. I should do that later on this year just to stay fresh. I had some flying dreams, though, earlier in the week. That was interesting.
That's good.
Well, some people have the Peter Pan flying dreams where they literally are flying around. I always looked like Superman who was being held up by a cable in front of a blue screen like this. Like, tilt a little more, Christopher. All right. So I haven't had one of those for a while, but small aircraft, it seems like recently. Dream interpretation is interesting. That's something else I'd love to see us do some more of, because I've had them strung up like beads at a county fair of in Woodstock, New York. Yeah, that was close. People say, what kind of beads are these you talking about? Talking about this at the coffee counter. It just seems like we got to talking about dreams a couple of days in a row there, and everybody wants to share the dreams they've had. And I've studied dream interpretation on a couple of different levels, and it's fascinating to people to hear what the ideas of others traditionally are, and I always love hearing, well, what is it that you think this means to you? And sometimes you have dreams that really are baffling. Other times you know, or you think you know. I don't know. You don't dream, you said, though. You feel like you astral travel during the evening. I
think whatever is going on with me is actually happening.
That's one of the theories, is that the only way that we're truly going to transcend into the other world that's right in front of our faces is for our bodies and minds to be almost completely at rest. So when we sleep, that's where we go. And everything that happens to us in that state really does happen to us. That's how cool that other world is.
And the fact that I don't always remember it is probably a saving thing for me. My days are busy enough. If I had to think about what happens in the evening, it would be way more than I could do.
Well, that's what Dan Rather's there for, I suppose, too.
Yeah.
Is he still around? Shuffy?
No.
We look to him. No? He didn't die, did he? Oh God, he's here right now. Hi Dan, how are you? Oh, we're so sorry. He's not really here right now.
I'm waiting for the time when something goes, Chris.
And it's gonna start.
Don't do that anymore.
Just don't leave an ectoplasmic ring around my favorite shirts, okay? We can't have that happen. But Brenda, we talked about the energy shift. I know I've been hearing things on the note of what we just discussed as well lately that I thought might be interesting for us to touch on too, which is this interdimensional deal. Grew up around an interesting set of characters myself. My mother was really into astrology, and some of the people that used to come to the meetings at the waterworks were something else. There was a fellow named Harry that used to be around these parts for a long time, and he actually built a UFO that people could see from the road. It was in his yard. He built a pyramid that was in his yard, and these were not small objects. These were rather large constructs that he had built for the purposes of our move into what he called the fourth dimension, which is, of course, the next one beyond height, width and depth. And thinking of that is mind-boggling because it's like, okay, what else could there be? Well, there's supposed to be 9 of these actually, and then 2 more that just exist for the sake of having something to sandwich all these together. So, what about those thoughts, Brenda? Because I'm hearing more and more about ultra-terrestrials, the fact that these things we think are from other planets really are from other dimensions. We're seeing their craft that are used to come here. Angels, potentially, are ultra-terrestrials. They are from another dimension. We're seeing them cross into this one from time to time. Even spirit guides, maybe where we go after we pass, or linger back to, or to and fro, is this 4th dimension. Have you ever had any thoughts in this area?
I have, and this is going to sound very boring.
I doubt that.
Deal with the fact that the people, entities, energies I see, I know they're real, they're there. But I align myself with smart people like you who do the research and come up with the reason I'm seeing these things.
Oh, well, I'm not saying that I ascribe to one of these theories or another. I just...
But you think there's a possibility.
Sure. I think that's the fun thing
And
about it.
I know there's a possibility, and you do as well. The things that have revealed themselves to me are people who have passed, animals that have passed. I hear voices.
We all do. Hang out in line at the DMV long enough, you'll hear voices, I swear.
Yeah, I do. I get direction. Last night was really an interesting time for me because I have these people, these forms standing behind these people who are obviously not there, and they're all sort of wanting their say. And the message coming from every single one of these angels, guides, energies, whatever they are, past, was we are so okay. And the fact these people are still mourning, still wondering, it's like they all, one of them was, get over it. You know, we have to keep coming back here and checking on you. We have things to do. It is what it is, but
what do they have to do? That's what I want to know.
Oh.
Is there laundry on the other side? Is there... And I mean that with all sincerity. We keep ourselves so busy, a lot of us. We putter around, and I run to 3 different stores to buy the right kind of ham, and, you know, do they... I mean, is that something that happens in the spirit realm, or what are they busy with?
I don't have a clue, except for what I know, and that is when I do the meditation, that has been getting deeper and deeper and deeper. It's like an intense study group. It's like, I'm not sure what they're doing, but they're very intent on collecting energies, and they're happy, and there's something that they're doing, but it can't be identified by me.
Most of them are happy. We've talked about some of the things that show up that are...
I only see happy ones.
Well, we've actually talked about some neutral energies, if you will, and also maybe some things we don't like to talk about that are out there, and that's scarier, and we don't need to talk about that. But most of the things that contact you, again, are attempting to contact those that come to you, obviously.
Yeah.
Do these things happen just at random sometimes, though? Like, and we've still never shown her this, Shuffy, Frighteners, you know, where Michael J. Fox just sees these people running around, and I mean, does that happen too? You get up in the middle of the night for something out of the icebox, and you close the door, and whoa, you know, there's Fred Collinsworth, former CPA, 88 years old, dead, heart attack, found with a prostitute downtown, the worst hotel you can imagine. Hey, I want to talk to you. Does that happen?
Not going to talk to me. My butt's out of there.
Really?
Really.
So, no random encounters like that, in all seriousness.
I have, let me tell you the latest story that I heard, okay, briefly. My brother has a terminal disease, and he had a stroke.
Mm-hmm.
The ambulance took him from his home to a small hospital, and he does not remember any of this. He looked up at my sister-in-law and said, I just saw Dad. That would be our dad.
Oh, wow.
And my dad passed 3.5 years ago. And she asked him, what was he doing? What did he say? And he said, he just smiled. And it was, you know, if I wanted to interpret this, it's really hard when it's your brother and your dad. But I'm thinking he came to see if he was ready to come or not, if he was ready to move over. And he was there. And they were not close when they were here. They So the fact that there might have been a little bit of, well, I don't really know what the problem was, but the tension that was there when they were both on Earth was gone. My dad was there, he was smiling, he was ready to help him, and then he left. I recently had my dad comes to me quite a bit, but he came to me and he was not smiling. This was the first time I had anything, vision of him or any energy or anything where he wasn't happy. And my feelings on that after I gave it a little bit of thought was he's not exactly happy with the way I'm doing my life right now. You know, I'm not doing anything that's going to put me in jail or whatever, but I have the direction.
Not in this country.
And this is where we live, so we're okay.
Yeah, autoritas. They may be looking for elsewhere. The polizia.
But he always expected an awful lot of me, and I don't think he's expecting an awful lot of me now, but he knows that I am in a transitional period myself, with my brother, my mother, and things we all live with, and things that are part of our lives. And I think he worries a little bit that I'm not taking care. Sounds good to me, and I'm still about it.
So it is more likely then that you would interact with someone that you knew, and even as a medium that is able to contact those who have passed for others that have a message, it is still more likely that you would do this when asked to do so rather than just at random have an encounter with.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
My very first encounter was with someone I had met when he was 4 and he was 21 or 22 and he was killed. And one of the other people that I had an encounter with I had never met. And they were looking for someone that would listen, and I happened to be the one that would listen.
So they're able to spy out who it is that's in tune?
Apparently.
Okay, that's also very interesting.
It was really strange to me that all of a sudden this young man would come to me and say, "You have to talk to my mother." And it's like, well, why aren't you talking to a relative so that they would talk to? It was, no, you have a message to give my mother. And the channeling that happened like last night, the people were not asking about people that had passed. They just poked their heads in and said, "Hey,
here we are.
Tell her to get over this." Or, "There's no need to worry about me or what I did or didn't do. I'm so okay right now." So those were random. You know.
Yeah, okay. So it doesn't necessarily, for someone that's as connected as you are to the spirit realm, have to be an invitation. It can be just at random.
Oh, I've been driving along and all of a sudden something comes to me, and when there was a bad wreck in the road and people are still there.
Yeah.
And it's not, you just tell our energies to leave and go. But they're still, it happens so fast, they don't know what happened to them, and the energy's still there, you just you release them. But there's been so many times I've walked into a house or down the road and I don't know what's going on for sure, but I say, leave, go away, and you're free or whatever, and later find out what it was all about.
Can you imagine how this is for people that are like yourself and they live in the midst of a disaster zone? These earthquakes in Turkey and China where all the buildings collapse and 50,000, 100,000 people die in pretty much one fell swoop. I mean, how would that be?
We've talked so much about passing, and I think that ultimately that they're going to be okay when they figure out what's going on. I don't know that I could do it. I don't know that I could do it. I'm fortunate to not have had to go through anything like that.
Yeah, and I'm wondering too, and it sounds, I guess, a little bit morbid, but it's an honest presumption that when a passing occurs, there is some kind of something that leads them to the other side. There has to be an energy shift or some form of paralleling of energy in order for this person's energy to slip into the next realm. So when it happens to so many all at once, wouldn't this create something that might actually be visible for longer, or that would be quite large? I mean, I don't know. These are.
No, that's what I would think so. With mixed.
I would too, but I wonder about these things late at night when I'm, up eating the last kudos bar or something. So fascinating stuff, and it's the reason why we do this, not only to maybe shed some light on it from our own perspectives, but to give you a chance to open up your own mind, certainly, and think about what it is that you believe. And maybe these are things you haven't even thought of yet. If that's the case, we're doing our job, I guess. But very good. Brenda, I don't have any viewer questions, I guess,
No,
because
we
I
have
wasn't
no
handed
questions.
any, so we have none. You've been busy fielding so many, I guess, the last week that
I've been.
give her a break.
Yeah, I think things are people are becoming more and more and more aware. At least I know they're more aware than they were. We're starting a lot of new things. We all are. We have new babies coming, all kinds of changes.
Well, I don't have a new baby coming, just to let all of you know.
No, they won't let him breed.
Thank God they won't do that. So I'm sure many out there are thankful as well that are familiar with this program and or yours truly's former work. So, well, Brenda, I guess until next time, we're bidding adieu. Okay, online it's bridgingthegapwithbrenda.com. Same place, a different address will get you there as well. In the bar, which would be bridgingthegaptv.com. Don't grit your teeth, I got it, Shuffy. And then Bridging the Gap on TV is where you go to on YouTube. Get your questions to Brenda Burgett if you need them addressed that way. Again, they can be about family, friends, people who have passed, even the family pet. Could even be a long time ago, something that happened that's been on your mind for 20 or 30 years. Could have a resolution for you if you get your questions to Brenda. It could also be about something bigger that you're wondering about too. No personal questions for me. I'm tired of answering those, actually. So, until next time, Brenda.
It's been fun.
It has. For Brenda Burgett, Ian Hansen. Again, we'll talk to you next time around on Bridging the Gap. Until then, enjoy your existence, folks. We'll see you soon.
Do you guys want to know something that came to me?